It's time for the Movin The Chains podcast. Your home for high school football coverage in the Palmetto State. Every team, every game, every week. And now your hosts, Kevin Thomas and John Epps.
Welcome into Movin The Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We got Jerel Hendricks back on the board. As always, we are here for our Week 9 South Carolina High School Football Preview Show. John, the season is flying by, and it's maybe a first for our show. The first I remember, we've got games going on right now as we're talking.
Yeah.
How they have some makeups happening here in the upstate and the CSRA because of the Helene, issues a few weeks back, but still a loaded week. We've got a lot of great games to talk about, John. A lot of, de facto region titles on the line. Some really good stuff here in Week 9. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Be sure to follow us here on Facebook, on Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. That's MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movinchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do our weekly preview show here on Tuesday nights, about 7:15 or so. Facebook and YouTube. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on our podcast platforms. We do coach interviews, player interviews, pick'em contests, food reviews, all kinds of great content throughout the week on our socials. So check us out on all of those as well. Definitely get your Movin The Chains merch right now. We had a great meeting with the fan, with a friend of the program on Friday night. Got a hoodie for Corey. Great to get that for him. We got some great toboggans. We got some great hoodies here, some great hats, Richardson hats, really nice stuff. Some T-shirts as well, a black one, a navy blue one, a gray one, and a pink one for the ladies. You can email mtcgear.sc@gmail.com, or you can just message us here on Facebook or on any of our platforms. Love to have you guys supporting the boys, supporting the gear, helping us make the show bigger and better. John, any final thoughts here on Week 8? We saw some craziness there, and as we get ready to head into Week 9 here.
Yeah, saw some upsets. Did not expect to see. Saw some teams that we thought were going to show up. Some of them did, some of them didn't. But I tell you what, I thought 5A among a bunch of regions really got a wrench through in things where we thought JL Man was really, really good, and we didn't think TL Ham was very good. Well, that was not the case last week. Some surprising games that I think going is where we're now. Some of us are 2 games away, some 3, maybe 4, depending on what the schedule looks like from the playoffs. And it's getting more and more uncertain after you get from those top 2 or 3 teams in each class.
No doubt about it. Well, as always, guys, feel free to chime in. Let us know about your game, your team, your thoughts. Love to hear from you. But, John, let's get started here with our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, our CONA games of the week, 5 of the biggest games across the state. We will go through those and then go down from 5A, 4A, 3A, 2A, 1A, and through the SCISA ranks as well. Looking now at our first CONA game of the week, a big-time 1A battle here, John. And that's Blackville-Hilda, the Fighting Hawks, traveling to take on Hunter-Kinard-Tyler, HKT, the Trojans. Both teams sitting at 6-1 right now. Not officially the region title, but I think it certainly is for in that region, man. 2 really, I think, teams that are, kind of similarly built, very physical, very big. They want to kind of mash you, want to run all over you. Blackville-Hilda last week beat Calhoun 41-12. HKT 42-0 over Wilson Elko. The Fighting Hawks averaging 30 on offense, 15 on defense. HKT 29 on offense, 13 on defense. Blackville-Hilda quarterback Samari Williams ran 10 times for 147 and 3 touchdowns last week. Also had a touchdown pass. Running back Jaquel Holman, the South Carolina commit, went 17 for 127, a TD run, and a pick six. Like I said earlier, they're very physical up front on both sides of the ball. Namir Anderson is a really good player for them too, as well, outside and on the back end for the Fighting Hawks. They have won 6 in a row since a week 0 loss to Barnwell on a Thursday night to start the season. HKT head coach Jermaine Derricott. They had some turnover problems earlier in the year. I think they've kind of got those fixed up. It feels like not doing that as much right now. Trenton Stroman, Darion, I have Stroman right now. That's not his right name, but the Stroman and the other kid there, I'll find it here in a second, are playmakers for them. They've got 3 offensive linemen who have played a lot of football for them, really leading the way up front. Linebackers Ross and Peoples. The front 7, like I said, super strong, super physical. Honestly, a very similar team to Blackville-Hilda. Who do you give the edge to in this matchup?
I think these are, again, very evenly matched, really, really good teams. And, I mean, this could be – we talk about the region title for this region. This could decide who comes out of Lower State or not decide it. But these are 2 teams that I think are favorites for me to come out of the Lower State in 1A. They both have I think they're going to have a claim against anybody in Lower State.
I believe these both go to Upper State this year, John. I believe they both flipped to Upper State this year. Yeah, out of Region 3 there.
Okay, well, I take that back because we know who's in the Upper State. They can make it to the semifinal in Upper State. I like Blackville-Hilda a little bit more. I think, and it's more of and I know people hate to hear this, more of a name brand. For me, I think Blackville-Hilda has just been a little more established over time, last few years. I think Hunter-Kinard-Tyler is good enough to win this game. I just like Blackville in a close one to win this. I think their experience in bigger games and being a top level program last few years, I'm going to give them the edge here.
And the Fighting Hawks, I mean, they're playing really good football. They've been the top 2, top 3 teams in the poll all year long. HKT has kind of been underlooked a little bit. I thought about putting them in the top 5 last couple weeks because, like I said, they've got just that one loss. They've got some nice wins. They beat Orangeburg Wilkinson just a couple weeks ago, stepping up in class by a few classes there and had a nice win for them. They are just a really physical team, man. And I think the worry for me on the Blackville-Hilda side is I think the way that you take advantage of HKT is you throw the ball on them. Like, Louisville had their way, kind of passing a little bit against those guys. But Blackville-Hilda is not really cut out to do that. I think, I mentioned Williams had a touchdown pass last week. I think he was like 1 for 7 or 1 for 8. But they don't try to throw it. They try to run it down your throat with Williams and Holman. And I think we're looking at a really low scoring game here. Grinded out, really physical football. And I think I'm going back Blackville-Hilda in a close one. Too much explosiveness with Williams and Holman. Yeah. I think they maybe break a long run or two. It's just enough there for them to get that win.
Yeah, Holman, you got to think he's probably the best player on the football field this game, too. If anybody's going to break one loose, probably going to be him.
Yep. So I think Blackville-Hilda, I think you do as well, but certainly should be a lower scoring, hard-hitting football game. Definitely, I'd say the best 1A game on the slate this week. No doubt about it. And I mentioned, last year Blackville-Hilda won this game 33-18. I don't think it's quite that high scoring this year, but
I think it's probably a little closer, too.
Yeah, should be a fantastic ball game. Jerel, any comments from you on this matchup? Any comments from the chat on this one, or just people who want to say hello and get the program started?
Sure, we'll get those out of the way here soon. But yeah, just quick thoughts on this one. I think it's really tight, man. You guys made some great points with HKT, kind of laying in the weeds, but they've been fringe top 5. It's just really hard to place them in there with these 1A teams who are, they've played higher competition. They may have 1 or 2 losses, but it's kind of hard to slot them in there. But HKT is a fantastic team. They're definitely going to have the home edge there. They're going to have the crowd behind them. It's going to be a huge game here. Going to make it a clean sweep, though. I think Blackville-Hilda edges them out, but I don't think this is more than, a 3-7 point game. 1-score game here between these two sides. It's going to be very close, and it should be a lot of fun. But let's take a look at some comments before we get into it too far.
Perfect. Or not.
If my computer will work.
Yeah, there we go. Kevron says, hi, MTC Go War Eagles. Good to see you, Kevron. Great collegiate playing right now. Chris says, what's up, Chris? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you in here as always. Zach says, can't believe it's already week 9. Clinton goes home for their final home games. They face Blacksburg for homecoming and honoring the senior team on senior night. Okay, so double up senior night and homecoming all at once. How about that? How about that? Wyatt says Bishop England Bluffton's a big game. It certainly is. That is a very big one in that region. Wyatt, we get to that one here when we get down to 4A. MJ says Louisville Lamar, big one matchup next week. Yes, that
Very big.
probably one of the games of the week. We'll just go ahead and tease that one for that big 1A region title. Anthony says Marlboro bounces back against Loris. That's one of our games of the week here. Anthony will get to in a little bit. Terrence says, good evening, guys. Hampton County. Tough loss last week for the Hurricanes, but they are a very good football team still. Can make some noise in the playoffs for sure. Chris says Daniel's still doing Daniel thing, showed up and showing out. Same as the rest of the season, came with the playoffs. Yeah, Daniel's up big already today on Berea, Chris. Those guys are rolling, and I think that they're going to be rolling until they get some tough matchups late in the playoffs, and we'll see how it shakes out. Derek says, fellas, how's it going? Derek, appreciate you, man. Your Patriots are playing good football. They're on a hot streak right now. Maurice says, Strom in the Rebs. That's one of our games of the week, Maurice. We'll get to that one here in a minute as well with that big game against Saluda. Jerel says, good evening, fellas. Fairfield Central. Those boys are playing great football. They are really playing well right now for Coach Davis. They are a hot team in Upper State 2A. Anything else, Jerel?
Let's move it on, guys.
Our second CONA game of the week, a 5A matchup. James Island, the Trojans at 5-3, traveling to Ashley Ridge, who is 6-2. But remember, John, they actually lost a game to Berkeley earlier in the year. They had to, get back. They got the win back when Berkeley forfeited, so they're technically 6-2. On the field, they're 5-3. The Swamp Foxes are there. Last year, these teams did not play. This is their first time playing in a while with James Island jumping up a couple classes here to get together with them. James Island last week, a very nice one over Fort Dorchester, 26-7. Averaging 16 on defense, 16 on offense, 9 on defense. As we know, Coach McCoy builds that defense, man. That's what they're known for. And last week was a very impressive win. One of their bigger playmakers, probably their top offensive playmaker, Jalen Brown Singleton, left on Thursday to go to a Florida prep school, basically unexpectedly the day before the game. He leaves. They come out and they put a nice victory together, a great win there for that bunch. Running back Amore Scott, he's back. He's a big piece on offense for them. Quarterback Connor Dantzler, tight end Sam Crumpton. You got a really good kicker in Grady Dangerfield. He's a Shrine Bowl kicker. He is a stud there for them. The defense, like I said, always tough. That defensive line, really impressive. Malachi Jefferson, Hendricks, Baran. They're going to have their hands full this week against a really good Ashley Ridge team.
Yeah, and Ashley Ridge offense is very high power. This is an Ashley Ridge team. They've scored 45 points or more in the last 4 games, including the tight loss to Somerville last week by 149-48 in that game. They gave Somerville all they wanted, had chances to win that game. This is a great matchup because you got a high-powered offense against a high-powered defense coming together. And, even though James Island's bumping up a couple spots, they've played well. Expected them to play well. When you play really good defense, you can punch above your weight class a lot. And they continue to play really good defense again this year. I think this will be a really, really good matchup here. Probably I'm looking at that region. I'm thinking this has got to be for second place in the region behind Somerville, pretty much, which is a big deal. Between number 2 and number 3 in the region means, hey, if you're 2, you're hosting a first round playoff game. If you're 3, you're on the road. That's a really big deal. I think this can be an awesome game. I don't know if it's going to be a low-scoring game or a high-scoring game. I'm thinking more low-scoring. But with that said, I think Ashley Ridge comes out on top. I like their ability to, because they're very good offensively and they've been playing really good football last couple of weeks as well. I like them to be able to make a couple more plays offensively, even against a good James Island defense. I like their chances of making a big offensive play or a couple more than James Island. I think this will be a very competitive game. And James Island can get some turnovers and take some possessions away. That could flip it to the other side. But I like Ashley Ridge in a close game here. It's probably going to be in the 20s.
The Swamp Foxes for Coach Jeff Tate, averaging 43 on offense, 26 on defense. You mentioned, John, that double overtime loss to Somerville last week. Listen to these offensive stats they put up in this game. Trevor Kalick, the quarterback, 37 for 41, 364, 6 touchdowns. Running back Jaden Acosta, 39 for 179 and a touchdown. And then receiver Jaden Bam DeWeese. They had Derek Sally last year, put up huge numbers like, oh, Derek Sally's gone. Who's going to replace him? It's Jaden Bam DeWeese. He had 13 catches, $166, 5 touchdowns last week.
That's awesome.
And somehow you lose the game. I mean, I just don't know what you do with that. Defensively, Mark Howell Moore, 13 tackles at TFL. Dylan Polanski, the Shrine Bowler, 14 tackles at TFL. I mean, when your offense is putting up those kind of numbers, you got to find a way to get a stop. It's just hard to believe that you lose a game like that with those kind of offensive stats. But you mentioned a pivotal game for this second place in the region. I mean, you got to have this one if you want to host cool playoff games. I know it's kind of going off the RPI now, but you got to think you probably want to be in that 2 seed to have a chance of getting some hosting when the RPI shakes out like it does. My worry with Ashley Ridge is, does a loss like that to your crosstown rival in a double overtime fashion like that, where you go for 2 late, you don't convert, does that kind of linger with you a little bit? Because if it does, I mean, James Island's going to have to punch you in the mouth and just really, get out of there with the victory. But I think Ashley Ridge is probably a little bit more talented.
Yeah, and I think if we see a lot of schools or a handful of schools playing tonight. I think if Ashley Ridge, and boy, that would be a tough deal to play Somerville and then come back Tuesday and play James Island. But I think if they were playing tonight, I would be worried about that, hangover, if you will, having that Somerville loss in your head that like, man, we could have almost won that game. I think coming in Friday, I think there's enough time for the kids to get over the loss. And really, I think, and the staff, flip this the right way. And I'm sure they have this week. Hey, you lost Somerville. You lost to arguably,
top 2, top 3,
probably best team in the state.
Yeah,
but
top 3, top 5, for sure.
Somerville's going to have a chance to stake their claim as the best team in the state. They're certainly up there, right? And you were a play away.
Yeah.
A play away or a break away from beating them. If you can do that, you can play with those guys, forcing them to the brink. You can play with anybody in the state. And you would come into this game expecting to win this game. I think the kids by this time will have some confidence, because if it was the other way around, if it was Somerville that lost, hey, you're Somerville, you're expected to win the game. I know those kids expect win the game, believe they can win the game as they should. You weren't expected to win the game. It's not like everyone was thinking, yeah, Ashley Ridge is going to beat Somerville. People are surprised it went to overtime. I think that's turned into a confidence builder. And turn that to a positive coming into Friday against James Island. Yeah,
I think Ashley Ridge, 2 very polar opposite teams. One's got a great defense, can't score. One's got a great offense, can't stop anybody. What do you go with? I'm gonna go with the home team. I think Somerville, Ashley Ridge can make one more play. I think they win the ball game here. Close one, maybe a big pass from Kalick to Deweese. I don't know. I like Ashley Ridge in a close one, but should be a great ball game with very contrasting styles. Definitely the opposite of our first game, where it's 2 very similar teams. You got the exact opposite here. Jerel, comments from you or from the chat on this big 5A low country matchup?
Yeah, I think this is just a situation where Ashley Ridge is just going to be able to outscore them. I mean, you mentioned it with James Island. I mean, 16 points a game while only giving up 9. They're only scoring 16 points a game. Yeah. And you just have to think that Ashley Ridge is going to at least get into the 20s, 30s. John mentioned them scoring over 40 points the last, 4 contests or something like that. So I just think it's that simple. I think Ashley Ridge is going to be able to outscore them, even with how good that James Island defense is. And hopefully they can bounce back from a debilitating. I mean, that was a tough loss there to Somerville, but you do have to look at those positives. You are a play away in double overtime from beating a top 3 caliber team in Somerville. So simple as that. I think Ashley Ridge gets it done.
Love it. Any comments from the chat on this 5A matchup? I know we got some low country fans in here. I saw going off a minute ago, so definitely shoot us up those, Jerel, and we'll read that. Ruddy says Saluda. That's our next game, Ruddy. We get that here in just a second. We will be there. Brian says big Saluda. Be there just a second. That's our next CONA game of the week. Chris bet over second place. Coming from a Batesburg guy. Okay. I'm sure those fan bases will have something to say about that. Malik says glad his Wildcats look back to form from injuries. Yes, they played really nice. Great win over Marlboro County on Friday night, Malik. Zach says, what's the RPI going to? Basically, Zach, for 4A and 5A, they're going to use the RPI to seed the teams. There's not a preset bracket where it's like Region 2 gets this place. It's going to be seeded based off of the RPI. I guess in 5A, they're doing it because there's a lot of, the teams are playing against teams that are bigger or smaller in their region. Not sure how they're doing for 4A, but that is what they're going to go off of for the seeding for 4A and 5A, at least for the next 2 years, Zach. Jerry says leaving Sumter out. Hey, Sumter's very good. I think I'll tease it. I've got Sumter up to number 2 in my Division 1 5A poll. So they're definitely a top 3, top 5 team, I think, as well.
I think they're good. I don't know if they're as good as Somerville, but I'd love to see that game.
Yeah, very good.
I'd love to see it happen.
Very good team, Jeffrey. Bulldog says Strom thumping Saluda Friday. Yeah, we'll get down here in just a second, Bulldog. We'll definitely talk through that one.
I think the people are ready for this Thurmon Saluda game, so let's get to it.
Good thing that's our next game of the week, huh? Yeah, our third CONA game of the week, a big one. The Rebels and the Tigers. Strom Thurmon at 5-1, traveling to Saluda, undefeated 6-0 on the season. John, last year, Jerel and I went and saw this game, thought it was going to be close. It was 48-3 Saluda, or 48-3 Strom Thurmon. Probably not even that close, honestly. A heck of a ball game last year that definitely went the Rebels' way. Last week, Strom Thurmon 55-6 over Pillion, averaging 37 on offense, 9 on defense. Saluda 33-7 over 96, 30 on offense, 7 on defense on the season. John, who do you like in this matchup here? We have seen some really good battles between these two the last few years. Obviously not last year, but you look back, you got the connection there with Coach Webb. Used to be on Coach Young's staff of that state title team. Now he's on his own. They're kind of two friends going at it, man. Who do you like in this great football game down there that basically Leesville's still sitting out there, obviously, in this region, but you got to have this one to have a chance to win the region pretty much.
Yeah, and, Jerel and I were at the game, the last one at Saluda, where it was a 6-3 buzzer beater field goal for Saluda to win. That was the most offensive 6-3 game I think you can see. There was a lot of action going on in that game. That was an awesome game to be at. Awesome environment. I think Strom Thurmon might be the better football team here, and I've got Saluda in my top 5. I have thought highly of them all year long. I think they've got a really good chance to win this game because they're at home. And I don't think the talent disparity is far at all, if any, for Strom Thurmon. I think it's going to be a really, really tight game. It's going to come down to who plays better. I don't know that, if you were setting a line on this game, boy, I don't know what you would do. This is going to be as close of a game, I think, as you can have. I think we're going to see another, this decided in the final possession. I think a good chance of that. I want to say Strom Thurmon, but I don't know. I'm playing at home. We've seen that Saluda, or Jerel and I have seen that Saluda home atmosphere. It is awesome. I love the purple smoke. It's going to be packed out. It's going to be packed down on both sides. I feel like I have to pick Saluda because I've had him in my top 5 all year. But I think Strom Thurmon's a better team. I think Strom Thurmon's going to find a way to win this game.
But you're picking Saluda.
I'm going to pick Strom Thurmon.
Okay, so I was going to say, wait a minute.
I've gone Saluda all year, my top 5, but I think Strom Thurmon knocks him out this week.
Okay, the Rebels last week. Cam Black, six carries for 93 yards and a touchdown. Deontay Phillips also a threat in the backfield. They rushed for 267 as a team that went over Pillion. Quarterback Bryshawn Lee, 7 for 10, 114, 2 touchdowns. Jay Sewell, 2 touchdown catches. Caleb Simpkins, he's a guy to watch out for. He's a player on both sides of the ball. Really good-looking athlete there for them. Defensively, the defensive line is awesome with Josh Merriweather up front. He's a stud, a north-south guy there. They got picks last week from Wigfall and Coleman, 2 guys on the back end that can really get it done. Saluda, running back Braden Williams, $151 on the ground, 3 touchdowns running, and a touchdown catch last week. Quarterback Drew Arant, he's back. He had an injury earlier in the year. He's back now. I think this would be his 3rd game back, I believe. Played a lot of football for Coach Young there. Receiver Vic Gaines, they spread the field. They want to run it. That's what they want to do. They want to spread it out and run it down your throat. So we'll see how that goes. Got a solid offensive line. Defensively, JT Lott up front's a monster. DB Jaden Folks, he's a big guy on the back end that makes a lot of turnovers and game-changing plays there. 2 really good defenses, John. Neither team has allowed over 14 in a game this year. So we could see a low-scoring game again. Our worry, we saw Strom Thurmon play North Augusta earlier in the year, and my worry was, can they score enough points to win big games? I feel like they've kind of got that figured out a little bit the last couple weeks. I feel like they've gotten, a little bit more into some comfortable packages and kind of, feel it out a little bit more. They're playing a little better on that side of the football. Saluda, I have some of the same worries. Like, how good is that offense? I know the defense is really good, but can they stop anybody? They cause a lot of turnovers. And I think with Strom Thurmon, what they're going to do with Coach Webb is they're probably not going to put the ball in too many dangerous positions where Saluda can turn them over, honestly. So I think the Rebels, that has to be a factor there that helps them out. And I saw this stat. I don't know if you guys who are Strom Thurmon fans and Saluda fans can correct me on this or tell me I'm wrong, but I saw there's a chance that Strom Thurmon is 24-4 at Saluda. Last loss 2003. Is that really right?
Hard to believe.
Is that right? I don't know if that's right or not, but that's
that's what they're saying in the chat. That's
a
the
domination
correct number.
there. That's domination there, Jerel.
And again, I don't know history with this rivalry very well, but I want to say, has Strom Thurmon been 3A a few times and Saluda's been 2A? I feel like
Strom Thurmon used to be bigger for sure.
Yeah, I feel like Strom Thurmon is typically the bigger school in the matchup. What you think that has to do with it is up for debate, right? But I know that's a factor, part of it. But that's a big number.
It certainly is. Certainly is. Yeah, Maurice says 24-4 at Saluda
That's
Stadium.
incredible.
Okay, well, there we go. Yeah. I'm glad it's been confirmed. I saw that somewhere in a newspaper article, something like that a couple weeks ago. I was like, man, I got to write that down for the show. So definitely interesting there to hear that.
Wait a minute. That can't be right because we saw Saluda beat Strom Thurmon.
No, Strom Thurmon won that game, didn't they?
Thurmon won the game.
Yeah,
Thurmon won that game 6-3.
Yeah.
Because it was the Strom Thurmon side that was going nuts. Yep, that's
So,
right.
anyway, I think we're in for a barn burner. I think we're in for a tight game here, a low-scoring game, much closer than last year's 48-3 mark. I believe Strom Thurmon with the run game with Blacks and Phillips and maybe some kind of play with Simpkins to get him loose. I think they may just enough plays. I think they win this game. And I'm thinking like 21-17, 21. I'm thinking really low scoring here. Two coaches that know each other really well, obviously know what each other want to do. The great atmosphere. It's going to be a great ball game down there. I'm going to go Strom Thurmon, the Rebels here in a close one. I think they get a win. And this is a must-have game for both teams if you want to have a chance to win the region, really.
I agree. I think it's going to be lower scoring than that. I think we're going to see a lot of turnovers again. We saw that 2 years ago, and it is completely different teams. But I think with both offenses against the best competition they've played, they've struggled a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I think both defenses are really, really good. They're going to really create some havoc for the offenses. And both offensive sides, I think, are going to try to press a little bit. They're going to feel the pressure of the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
And I think the defense is going to pounce on that. And I think we're going to see some turnovers and make that even a lower scoring type game.
And don't forget,
maybe if anybody gets to the 20s.
Strom Thurmon, the Rebels, always have a good kicker. They got another one this year too, so watch out for that. One thing that I do want to know about these two teams, John and Jerel, and I'm more interested to see how this shakes out. I feel like neither one has played the toughest schedule yet. I think, Strom Thurmon, they played North Augusta, obviously a big 4A school, played tight in that game there, held up well up front. That was really impressive. Even they lost, they played well in that one. Saluda, they played Chester. That was Chester without Trooper Floyd. How good is Chester this year? They played Southside Christian, who's probably not the best, team to compare against right now. So neither team has had a daunting schedule, you could say, to this point. But I still think the Rebels a little too much firepower. I think they win this ball game on Friday. Yeah,
and this will be whoever wins this game is going to be their signature win because neither one really has one this year. We thought Strom Thurmon really did something by beating up on Silver Bluff early in the year, but we see Silver Bluff is not the typical Silver Bluff squad that they are. So this is going to be outside that North Augusta game, which of course they lost. This is going to be the toughest game by far. For both sides, for sure.
And don't forget, I believe Strom Thurmon also beat Emerald. That's not a bad win there either, because Emerald's not a bad football team there, and a bigger school as well.
Yeah.
Jerel, comments from you on this game. I know we got a bunch from the chat, so if you want to pop in with your 2 cents, love to hear from you. Obviously you saw Strom Thurmon in person with me a few weeks back. Have not seen Saluda this year, but I know we've been, we talked through these teams a lot in our little group chat the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I know one thing. This is going to be a hell of an environment. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know that, like John mentioned, we caught that game a couple years ago. And me and Kev caught the one last year. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. So if you're in that area, definitely go check it out. I mean, we've seen some streaks broken this year. I mean, we saw Greer knock off Burns. That was a long streak. But I don't know about this one here. I think Thurman's going to win it. It's kind of weird. I'm the same way. I've got Saluda ranked in my poll this week, but I think Thurman's just a little bit better. So I think they're going to be able to get the job done. It's I think Saluda's deserving to be ranked, but I think there might be a little mental edge. You think about these rivalry games, and if one team has an advantage over the other mentally, that kind of weighs on you a little bit. But like you said, it's going to be pretty evenly matched. But I like Thurman winning this one. I know we all pick Thurman, so it's going to probably be one of those where we get put on the TV.
Put us on the TV, yeah.
Hey,
so
do
it's going to be a lot of fun.
Saluda hadn't scored a touchdown against them in at least 2 years.
So, yeah, that's a good point. But lots of comments. I'll try to filter through them. They keep coming quickly, so a lot of people are excited about this game, as they should be.
Certainly going to be a fun one.
Give me just a minute. I got to refresh. I'm getting new comments every 2 seconds. So here we go.
It's gonna break the program here.
I mean, it really is. So
and John, if I remember correctly, this may have been the first actual food review Friday we did too with you and Jerel and Saluda. That may have been the first one. I don't know. Maybe they had a good hot dog. You told me
they did, and they had you can get a bowl of peanuts. I mean, you get a bucket.
Sign me up for that.
Good stuff.
Jerel says, "Good evening. Good to see you, Brad. Good to be in here, man. As always." Shay says Spartan Grove Vikings.
Playing
The
good
Vikings
football.
are playing great right now, Shay. Thank you for joining us tonight. Bulldogs, so that's our home field, LMAO. It certainly has been the last, 30 years at least.
21.
Versus it's true. Omar's a stat man. Hey, I trust you guys on that one for sure. Zach says Clinton lost to Thurmon in 2005 and 3A state title when Coco Hillary was there.
Oh,
so
Coco.
Thurmon was definitely bigger back in the day. I do remember that.
Former Gamecock.
Bulldogs is finally healthy. That's a huge piece too. I know they're missing a couple guys earlier on and have got them together now and playing good ball at the right time. Ruddy says 214 Saluda. Yeah, I'm thinking kind of around that scoreline feels about right. Ball Smith says Strom Thurmon dominates Saluda. Chris says Emerald's not a bad team, man. Come on now. Hey, they're decent. They're not good. They're not horrific. We'll put it that way, Chris. Bulldogs says Strom Thurmon rolls. We own them. Marie says Rebels.
That's it right now. I need the Saluda fans to kind of fight back here, man. It's
we had a couple on the YouTube side earlier. I don't know where they went. Big Saluda stand up. That's what they always say. You know, that was a lot of fun. But Les Rebels by 17 says Cal. I like that. It might be a little more than I'm thinking there, but I love it. Put your name on it. I love it, Cal. I love it. Ready for our fourth game here, Jerel?
Yep. Let's go ahead and roll on. Perfect.
Our fourth and final CONA game of the week. A big 3A matchup, a game that looked a little bit bigger last week before some of the results we saw. And that's Loris, the Lions at 7-1, traveling to take on Marlboro County, who is a surprising 7-1 now after that last week loss to Dillon. Loris, a big win, 52-0 over Georgetown. Marlboro County, we mentioned they lost 35-12 to Dillon, a game that I think we all picked Marlboro County in. And not just us. A lot of folks across the state felt that same way. Yeah. But the Wildcats played some really good football to win that one. The Lions averaging 42 on offense, just 9 allowed on defense. Quarterback Moon Jerel, one of the best names in the state. I said every week. Love that name, Moon Jerel there. 12 for 18 last week, 306, 2 touchdowns. A three-headed monster at running back. Roderick Percha, 5 for 68 and a touchdown. Deuce Stevens, 4 for 41, 2 touchdowns. And Khalid Sherman. Receivers Jacobian, Grim Lewis, and Quantez Dyson. The defensive line, I love those guys there. Javon Johnson leads that group. They are really stout up front. Landon Connor's a good player as well for them on that defensive side. Marlboro County averaging 43 on offense, 16 on defense. Last week, quarterback Nidarian Blackwell, 11 for 23, $158. Running back Josiah Robinson had to leave early with an injury. Not sure his status. I think he is back, but have not been able to confirm that yet. Receiver Donovan Powell and outlaw athlete Justin Purvis had 59 receiving yards, 30 rush yards as well. Defensively, Ja'Carrion Keenan, the DB, just got an offer from NC State. You got Josiah Dwyer, the defensive lineman, committed to East Carolina as well for them. You know, John, I was super pumped for this game the last few weeks, getting ready for it. But last week's loss to Dillon, kind of soured things for me a little bit from Marlboro County. I think they're very good. And with the way this region is going, I would not be surprised one bit if the Bulldogs bounce back with a nice win. Even though you guys know I've been super high on Loris all year long.
Yeah, if this game was at Loris, if it was over there, boy, because they have a great environment too. I went to the Loris-Dillon game, and that was awesome. I would love to go to a Loris game again. Being at Marlboro County, that's a big deal, being on their home field. I don't know what the crowd's going to be like, how that atmosphere is going to be diminished after last week's game, because Marlboro County had a legit, in my opinion, haven't had a legitimate real crack to beat Dillon in a while. Mm-hmm. They had it this year, and I mean, it was 14-12 for a while.
Yeah.
And then Dillon, as they do, typically in the second half, but this year in the fourth quarter, they put their foot on the gas and pulled away in this one. I think that's going to hurt the atmosphere a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be a little bit of air left out of the dream season, but it's still there.
Yeah,
they can still accomplish everything they want to accomplish. They can still go win a state championship. But this Loris team, and this is a tough stretch to play Dillon and then play Loris back to back, because not only are they both really, really good, they are both really, really physical and really, really good up front. They are going to hit you hard. I know Marlboro County is big too. They're a physical group as well. But this is a tough situation for the Bulldogs. I think Loris is every bit, they beat Dillon, obviously. I think they're every bit as good and better than Dillon, and almost the exact same looking team, but with a little bit more of a polished quarterback. I think that makes the difference for Loris. They play a little bit better special teams as well than Dillon. If Marlboro County plays the same game that they played last Friday and Loris plays to their potential, I think we're going to see another very similar score here.
Yeah, and it seems like, I watched a little bit of that game backwards or back afterwards. I got a couple of film guys that sent me some stuff, and then I talked to coaches over there. It just seemed like the Marlboro County game plan maybe not have been the best last week. Dillon, we talked about it, John, maybe not quite as big as normal, a typical Dillon team on both sides of the ball. But as always, they're physical and they are fast. Marlboro County kept trying to run some kind of pitch plays out to the side, and you're not going to beat Dillon to the sideline. You're just not going to. Where you think it might have been better served to just more of a up the middle type game plan, run straight at them. And Marlboro County did not go that route, and it allowed Dillon to kind of let that speed eat and play really well on defense. But I was more surprised on the offensive side where Dillon ran the ball right down the throat of Marlboro County. I did not see that coming. Jamarion Fling had a big game for the Wildcats. They really had their way. And I just mentioned how Loris has the three-headed monster at running back. So you're like, man, can they stop Marlboro County? Or can Marlboro County stop them? I don't know. But it's really weird to me. And it gives me pause because I've talked to several folks, in the area who have watched both teams play. And going into last week, before I made my pick, someone had told me, somebody who played both of them up to that point said, Loris is really good. Marlboro County is twice as good as Loris is. But then Loris beat Dillon, and Marlboro County gets the doors blown off by Dillon. So I just don't know what to make of this team. I don't know if it was just a weird game plan thing or if it's part of a playing in the white walls. That's a real deal. I mean, that's a real thing there. If maybe that was it, I just don't know what to make of it. But this is a huge game. Loris, if they win, they can clinch the region title this week. If they lose, we'll kind of have a three-way tie with Dillon, Marlboro County, and Loris. It'll come down to, who beat who by more and all that type of stuff there. So huge game for the Lions. Because there's a chance that they lose this one, they could go from potential 1 seed to 3 seed really quickly. So they've got to have this victory if they want to be that one and host a lot of home games this year. Which way are you leaning, John? Because I've talked myself into both sides of it, I think, throughout the day, and I've been thinking about it.
I find it hard, and I haven't seen Marlboro County play, and people you've talked to have seen them both, so it's hard for me. I can't tell them they're not right, but it's just hard for me to believe that someone is twice as good as Loris. They are really good, and they check off. Now they turn the ball over a lot when they play Dillon, but they check off so many boxes you want on a good team. They've got solid special teams. They've got a good, calm quarterback. They have a good running back. They have a very solid physical defense. They've got everything you want to be a very, very solid team. And they look the part. They play the part. They're really good. And Marlboro County, I've looked at, going through the schedule and, going into the Dillon game last week, I thought, well, they haven't really played anybody really good yet. That Scotland team out of North Carolina seems like they're pretty decent. But, this would be the first, obviously, like big test, all over the charts, right? Playing Dillon. And on these big games, you got to show up. You really got to show up in the fourth quarter. And they didn't do it. Maybe they turn around. Maybe they do it this week. I've seen Loris do it.
Yeah.
We know Loris can do it.
Yeah.
I trust Loris more. I think they are good enough, even if Marlboro County is a more talented team, and I can believe that. No doubt about that. They could be more talented, but you got to go do it. You got to go do it. And I think I trust Loris more. I think they've got the moxie of a team that can win these kind of games. They've already done it once against Dillon. They hadn't beaten Dillon since the 60s.
It's been a long time.
So they've been waiting for a long time to have a good crack at Dillon too. So, what's the bash Dillon hour, I guess, here. But
even though they just won last week.
Yeah. Even though they won in style. But yeah, I like Loris in this game. I really like the makeup of this entire team. I think they're really good. But we say all this, and we were joking earlier today. Marlboro County, we'll probably Friday night on Spaces talking about Marlboro County winning 42-7.
Right.
And then we won't know what to do. So,
right.
I'm going to pick Loris. I believe in him. I trust him. I really love him. But Marlboro County's good enough to beat him up. But I just don't think they will.
Yeah, I'm kind of in a box here because obviously I've been high on Loris all year, and if I have to pick them right now. So
well, I've been high on Saluda and I didn't pick them. So
I'm a man of principle over here, John. I'm going to go with Loris to win this game. I don't feel great about it. I'm going to tell you right now, I do not feel great about it. I think, like you said, the way this region is gone, it would make a lot of sense for Marlboro County to win this game and Dillon end up winning the region. That would make so much sense the way it's been going. But I think it's going to be a fantastic ball game. Two up-and-coming programs. Love what Coach Johnson's doing at Marlboro. Love what Coach Manson's doing at Loris. Two really good coaches that have really turned around programs that have been not very talked about, very much the last several years. Now all of a sudden they're in the spotlight here and playing some big football games. So love to see that for those two teams. I'm going to go Loris as well here. Should be a fantastic ball game. Jerel, what do you like in this one? I just, like I said, I've gone back and forth all day, I feel like.
We knew Kevin loved Loris, but now we have video proof that John also loves Loris. So, that's just fantastic to hear. Before I jump into it, we have been corrected. Love that the viewers of the program, going back to 2 years ago, Saluda and Strom Thurmon played again in the third round of the playoffs. Saluda won that game 28-0. That's
they scored touchdowns right there.
That was at Strom Thurmon, so I wanted to get that out there.
But now, wait, where was it? Where was it?
It was at Strom Thurmon. So
okay.
That makes sense. But wanted to get that tidbit out there. Going to this game, I'm going for chaos here. I'm not jumping on the bandwagon with you guys. I want complete chaos in that region. These teams are all evenly matched at the top three. I'm going to pick Marlboro County to dust themselves off and win this game. Just because, no analysis, just because I want to see a three-way tie up there, for the lead. And, just so we can have something more to talk about. It'd be no more fun if we had a clear-cut winner.
And I do think it's a big deal. The running back spot for Marlboro County, Robinson, is he back? Is he not back? I don't know. And if we have any viewers who know, let us know.
Hopefully Anthony can let us know.
How serious it was on Friday night. I know he left second or third play of the game. Did not play very long, I don't believe at all, before he had to come out. So that is a big loss. You definitely want to have him back if you can. But Jerel, any comments from the chat on this 3A matchup?
In other news, Daniel won 56-0 in an hour and 24 minutes tonight. So wanted to get I think that who they play Berea this week.
You know what? That was gonna be our next CONA game of the week too. I don't know what to do with that now.
I hate to see that.
Already over. Tanks, let's go. Loris. Appreciate you joining us, Tank. Should be fun. Chris, that'd be second place. No, probably either for first or third, I believe. Actually, is how it's going to work out, it looks like now.
Yeah, because if Loris wins, they would be
de facto region, 100% region champs. Lock it in. Yep.
If they lost, who knows?
Could be 3, could be 2. That shakes out. Yeah, exactly right, Anthony. I think him going out was a big deal. High ankle sprain. I know you can try to tape it up, but that stuff can be lingering. So I don't know what to make of that. I don't know how it's going to be. He thinks Marlboro's going to run away with it. Certainly could, man. When those boys get rolling, they are a tough team. Morris is Dillon has starters out, injuries in Hartsville Loris games. We're seeing now it's a complete team. Okay. Yeah, playing better football for sure. Still a couple things to clean up. Obviously the blocked field goal there really let Marlboro hang around last week. But they're playing much better football, man. Even with Damo Felton went out early in that game. Jamarion Fling, huge game in the backfield for the Wildcats.
Let's get to that SCISA game, guys.
Perfect. Our fifth CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week here, John. The Bethesda Blazers at 6-2, traveling to take on Pee Dee Academy, the Golden Eagles at 7-0 over at the Lawn. Both teams had a bye last week. Bethesda averaging 26 on offense, 15 on defense. Pee Dee 39 on offense, 12 on defense. The Blazers started 0-2, have now won 6 straight. And the big change there, after that second game, they benched their quarterback, went with a freshman, Jordan Turner. He's playing great football, 9 for 13, $155 last game. Running backs, Asir Best and Jordan Cheever. Cheever went 11 for 115, 2 touchdowns in the last game. Receivers, Malachi Morris, Christian Vaughn, and Raleigh Wesley. They have a lot of speed on offense, John and Joe. They can fly around there. Defensively, the defensive line, very big. Just space fillers up front for them, it feels like. Isaiah Reynolds, Nick Jackson, Jeffrey Armstrong are big players for them as well. Pee Dee on the other side. Colby Richardson, the quarterback, last game, 19 for 22, 228, 2 touchdowns, 6 rushes, another 42 yards, another touchdown there. The Coastal Carolina baseball commit there. Very cool. Richardson is. Running back Tristan Heckman, he's the anchor of the team on offense, and then at linebacker, he plays a solid role there for the Eagles as well. Receiver Miles Trussell, matchup nightmare, 9 for 132, 2 touchdowns last game. Receiver Jameson Rogers, also a weapon for them. Really big offensive line. Be a great matchup against that defensive line of Bethesda this game. Defensively, Ryan Small is a good player on the back end, along with Martin and Heckman, those guys we already mentioned there for the Golden Eagles. What worries me for Pee Dee, John, is this is their first game going to be in 21 days. They had the bye last week that everybody had in SCISA. They also had a team drop out in the week before, so they have not played now. It'll be for 3 weeks. we saw it last week, that Woodruff game. Like, that worries you. Does it take you a while to shake off some rust? I don't know. The Wolverines played well last week. They didn't bother them. But the Golden Eagles, obviously, you worry about practice. Can you get the guys up and they're ready to go and game speed and whatnot like that? But who do you like in this game? I think this, honestly, John, is a preview of the 2A state title game. I think I think they're in the same regions. They probably can't be, but I think these are the two best teams in 2A this year.
Yeah, this will be a great game. I know PD is pretty steamrolled through their schedule so far. This will certainly be, I think, will be the closest game they will play this year so far. I'm just going to take PD because they're at home. I think they're extremely even. I was going off of that Hilton Head, looking at that Hilton Head prep game. That's the one common opponent they have, almost identical. Really good teams, really, really good teams. PD's got a little bit of that pedigree, a little bit of that history, right? I'm taking that into account as well. I'm going to go Ho team here in a very, very close game.
I think the key for me is that PD Academy offense has been just unstoppable all year. I mean, they put up points on everybody from Trinity Collegiate to Florence Christian to, whoever they have played, they have done big numbers. Richardson and Trussell are just really, really tough, man. That's a heck of a connection. Trussell, 6'1", 200 pounds outside. You don't see a lot of those guys at SCISA, especially in the defensive back spot. So how are you going to stop him? I don't know how you guard him. I think big game from those two, as always. I think the Golden Eagles at home, too, should be a great atmosphere. I think they win this game. I think they win it probably by a couple scores. Okay. The only worry, like I said, is there any rust from a couple weeks off. But I think they've got a better football team right now. I love what Coach King's doing there, playing really good football, trending the right direction. They're on a roll so far this season. Yeah, and I think, we saw it with Woodruff last week. I think when you're talking about good teams, there's not a whole lot of rust to shake off. Yeah. And I think the same can be said for PD. Maybe a little bit here, at the beginning, but I think for the 48 minutes that are on the clock, they'll be just fine. Yeah, Jerel, comments from you on this ball game. I don't know if the chat's popping off or not, but what do you think about this big SCISA matchup here on Friday night?
Theme of the day for me is chaos. I'm just going to go for Bethesda just because I want Bethesda to win this game. I think PD's going to win. They'll get their get back in the playoffs and go on to win a state title. But Bethesda's going to win this regular season matchup. It's going to light a fire under PD, and then they're going to go get that trophy at the end of the year.
All right. I love it. Well, once again, guys, our CONA games of the week, we had Blackville-Hilda at HKT, James Island at Ashley Ridge, Strom at Saluda, Loris at Marlboro County, and then Bethesda at PD. Those are our 5 CONA games of the week. If you missed part of the show, you can always go back and watch them at the beginning. We will have it there once we get finished here. You can go back and check it all out and see it all. But Jerel, let's go chat to some friends of the program here before we look down, starting at the 5A slate.
A single moment can ignite a passion. With every play, a spirit of teamwork is forged, and determination evolves into success. Life is the ultimate team sport, and a trusted teammate makes all the difference. Our team at Founders Federal Credit Union works hard every day to offer the financial tools you need, backed by unrivaled member service. Relax, you're with Founders.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. And we are back now. Let's give a quick scoreboard update, John. Do you have them pulled up? You want me to go through them right quick of games that are live right now?
Yeah, I've got a couple where I'll leave off, pick up if I leave anything here. At the half, Gray all over Brooklyn Casey 28-0. Greer up on Pickens 28-7. That's in the third quarter.
I saw Greg 28-7 now, third quarter. I've got a little bit of an update there from you. Yep.
We've got Seneca all over Blue Ridge 34-7. That's in the third quarter. At halftime, TL Hanna continues to roll. They're up 29-6 on Easley. We've got Midland Valley up 28-7 at the break on Airport. Greenwood is up 7-3 on JL Man in the first quarter. Something's going on there. Is that game over at Slayton Field?
JL Man, yes.
Might have to go that way out of here. We've got South Aiken and Gilbert tied at 21 all at the half there as well. That's all I've got.
And I've got Hillcrest 21-0 over Greenville. Looks like second quarter there. And you said North Augusta Aiken already?
I did not.
North Augusta 48, Aiken 0 currently. Daniel, like Jerel mentioned, already beat Berea. Do not have an update on Malden Woodmont yet. I'll try to find that for you guys here in a little bit. The streaking Mavs, the red hot Mavs, 2 in a row now for them. But John, let's start looking now at the 5A slate. We will go through that.
Yeah, so let's flip over to Friday here. We've got Fort Dorchester going to RB Stall. West Florence will be at Westwood.
That's a sneaky good game there. Westwood is playing some good football right now. The running back Angelo Rios had a huge game with our players of the week there for Coach O'Connell. The West Florence defense, we thought they were really good early in the year, kind of been exposed the last couple of weeks. Ridgeview and Sumter really had their way with them. This is a key game for seeding there in that region.
I think Ridgeview's playing really good football too.
Mm-hmm.
I think West Florence is the better one in this game. I like West Florence to win this one. Westwood, with all those stats, really in a tight game at the beginning against not a great look-off Elgin team. We'll see Clover going to Nation Ford. Stratford will host Wando. Berkeley on the road against Lucy Beckham.
Interesting game there. Berkeley has been kind of up and down. It feels like, they took the weird loss to Goose Creek a couple weeks ago. I still love what Coach Lodge is building there with Boone and Bash and Henry Rivers. Lucy Beckham can't find the offense. That's been the issue since the last couple of years. I think Berkeley wins that one pretty handily.
And Goose Creek's playing better football in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Rock Hill will host Catawba Ridge.
Rock Hill, not a great look against Northwestern. And we thought they were playing good football, playing better football, and they are. Northwestern's a different animal. Catawba Ridge, a team I mentioned I think on our recap show, maybe on Spaces Friday. That's a team that's kind of flying under the radar. I think they're 5-2, 6-2, something like that. They lost to Northwestern. They're not a bad football team. They lost to Chapin early in the year as well. They've got some playmakers there for Coach Lindak. Rock Hill, that'll be a sneaky game there in the York County area this week.
Yeah, that'll be a good game. I like Catawba Ridge by a little bit in that one, but with the talent Rock Hill has, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Mill will go to Indian Land. Conway at home against Socastee. Somerville will host West Ashley. Wade Hampton is at home against Eastside. Dorman goes on the road against Gaffney.
Man, it's sad to see what that game has become this year. Usually that's a huge game, but this year it feels like Dorman can't quite get it going on offense, man. They played some really good football early in the year. They beat a good Greenwood team, we felt like. They had a couple other nice wins. The offense has just not been, clicking for them lately. They've been really struggling on that side of the ball. Gaffney, another team that's kind of had some offensive problems lately too. Javon Gilmore, not a great game last week. I believe they actually took him out for a little bit there. Jamarcus Smith kind of carried that team on the ground. They've got to find some offensive pieces too. Riverside had them, in a dogfight last week. And Gaffney's got to pick it up a little bit there for sure for the Indians. But I think they're certainly the better team in this ball game.
And then was it Burns 2 weeks ago that had Gaffney on the ropes?
Yes, double overtime in that one too.
Yeah.
So the Indians not playing their best football right now. I don't think, but that we know they got the talent to certainly turn it on at any point.
Well, they got to do it because if they have another game like this, we're going to see probably another game sub 20s. And if you're 14, 17 points, just about anybody's going to be in the game there.
Yep.
St. James will be at home against North Myrtle Beach, looking for their first win of the year.
North Myrtle Beach is also 2-0 in the region now. I think they won a couple games in a row after starting off really slow. Running back Drew Prince is a good player there for Coach Hill. Don't let the Chiefs get hot, man.
Well, we'll see. Lugoff Elgin, they will go to Harry Perrone Stadium, play Spring Valley. We talked about one of our CONA games of the week, Ashley Ridge hosting James Island. That's a great matchup because you got good offense, good defense squaring up there. You got Burns going to Spartanburg, which is a pretty big game for we talk about RPI, but it's a big game. Spartanburg should win this game, but Burns playing better football.
Spartanburg, really impressive winner of Bowling Springs last week. I did not see that coming. The offense kind of got going. They jumped on a 21-0 right out the gate, 27-0 at halftime there. Just dominated Bowling Springs last week. Burns has been really feisty this year, John. They haven't put up the flashy numbers. They don't have the great-looking offense, but the defense is playing well. They're making some special teams plays as well. I think Chu Harris had a touchdown return last week for them. I think Spartanburg, though, with Coach Hodge, I think they're better than we gave them credit for earlier on the year. I think they're a pretty good football team. I think they win this game.
I think so. Hey, I've been giving them up. I've liked them all year.
True. Maybe that's me.
And that will be all for Friday night in 5A.
Riverside, Bowling Springs. You get that
Riverside,
one as well?
Bowling Springs.
Riverside, Bowling Springs.
Let's see. Our Saturday game, we've got Woodmont will go to Hillcrest.
Mm-hmm.
Greenville is at TL Hanna. JL Man will go to Malden. Greenwood hosting Easley. And as we flip back to Friday, our HTC game of the week will be Carolina Forest
at Myrtle Beach. At Myrtle Beach. Doug Shaw Stadium there. Two teams that we think are probably the best two in that region. But Maybe North Myrtle Beach has something to say about that. We'll see here. But once again, our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week, Carolina Forest at Myrtle Beach. Carolina Forest 3-3-1, Myrtle Beach 4-3. Both teams had a bye last week. This is a region that decided when that extra week got added on, they were going to basically take a bye week 8 and move all those games to that last week. So everybody in that region had a bye last week. The Panthers, 31 on offense, 29 on defense. Running back Jaron Fox, their last game, 9 for 156, 2 touchdowns. He's doing a great job on the ground. Quarterback Patrick Mullen, receiver Nicholas Zinconi. Head coach Mark Morris, you know what he wants to do on offense. They want to no huddle it. They want to hurry it up. They want to shotgun it, and they want to run the ball. And Jaron Fox has done a great job so far with them on the ground. Defensive back Charles McCray is a big player on that side for them as well. Myrtle Beach, 27 on offense, 21 on defense. Quarterback Gibson Goodrow. Running back Michael Cohen, and they go with the Rhino package, basically that, Wildcat with Antonio Brown as well. Receivers John Simmons and Amari Brown. Defensively, Ashton Keith is a good-time linebacker for them, and head coach Mickey Wilson. Two teams, John, that really play tough non-region schedules. And, I think that Myrtle Beach, I believe, had likes of Sumter and West Florence, and I know Carolina Forest, I think, had Irmo, and I think Myrtle Beach may have had Irmo as well.
Yeah,
so they all played really tough teams. Carolina Forest and North Carolina as well. So two teams that were really tested in the non-region play have really started playing better now. They've gotten into their own region. This is a fun ball game here. Two teams that want to run it. It could be a very fast game to keep that clock running there. I think it comes down to which quarterback makes a play or two. I think Myrtle Beach, Gibson Goodrow makes one more play, either scrambling or just a normal drop back pass there. I like the Seahawks in a close one here in our HTC game.
I'm going to go Carolina Forest. I think Carolina Forest edges them out, but I agree with you. I think it's going to be a really close game as well.
Love that. Jerel, any comments from you on this one? Like we said, it's not a guaranteed region championship, of course, but it puts you in the driver's seat because I think the only team undefeated right now, I believe, is North Myrtle Beach in that region.
Most definitely, yeah. I think this one's going to be tight. We're going to be split here as well. I think Myrtle Beach wins it. I just like them at home. Like Goodrow, I think he's going to be able to make a play as well. So I like them to win this one. Doug Shaw is going to be a good one. Hopefully, people pack the stands for it.
Certainly, that's our HTC Hometown Connection game. Carolina Forest at Myrtle Beach will be a big one on Friday night down at Doug Shaw Stadium. John, or I guess Jerel, any comments on 5A before we look down to the 4A ranks?
One more note, I get a score update, that Malden-Woodmont game. End of 3, Woodmont's up 27-21, so a very good football game there.
Interesting. Woodmont, a team that had some injuries earlier in the year. The quarterback, Jordan Sink, was out. I believe he's back now.
He is.
The Wildcats. So could be a fun ball game there down the stretch, it sounds like.
Malden playing some better football there.
Mm-hmm.
Want to hop in 4A?
So,
maybe
yeah,
not.
Let's hop into 4A.
Looking down at 4A now, John.
All right, we'll start with our Friday games. We've got Hilton Head hosting Colleton County. Westside will be at Lawrence.
Man, Westside just continues to roll. I mean, it was very smart of Coach Lane to play such a tough non-region schedule because in the region they're not going to get it. I think they've got Wren here in a couple weeks. That will be
good.
Their toughest game by far in the region. But outside of that, they're not going to get tested. So that was a very smart strategic decision to play such a tough non-region game or non-region schedule. I think they're going to roll again over Lawrence this week.
Yeah, they certainly should. Richland Northeast will be at home against York. Beaufort is on the road against May River. South Point will go to Dreer. Fountain Inn at home against Emerald. South Florence at home against Lower Richland.
The Bruins, I want to mention them. They're a team that is, I think, trending upward. We worried about their offense earlier in the year. They had a couple of really big losses to some non-conference, non-region teams like Northwestern and whatnot, but they have played really good football last couple weeks. I think the offense has kind of gotten going. I think Trey Leonard had like 9 carries for $180 last week, like 20 yards a carry for them. They're getting it done on both sides right now for Coach Marley. Yeah, playing really good football here down the stretch. Crestwood will go to Darlington, a much improved Darlington squad. Even though tough loss last week to Hartsville, Hartsville I think is playing good football as well. But that's a big game for region seeding purposes there, Crestwood and those guys. Heather says, love my hometown Lawrence, lots of work to do. Yeah, Coach Porter's in for a rebuild for sure. You got the right guy there, though, that's for sure. Southside Texas could be Hartsville, South Florence, 2 best teams in Lower State for a big game next Friday. Yeah, I believe that is the last game of the season there, that week 10 there. That will be a fantastic football game, I think, in 4A to see who wins that region and I guess gets, probably the higher seed out of the RPI in that 4A spot. Yeah, they certainly should. Southside will go to Wren. Hartsville, we talked about, they'll be at Lakewood. Bishop England at home against Bluffton.
and Camden will be on the road against Lancaster.
That Bluffton-Bishop England game is a big one, too. Bluffton's got a really good offense. Bishop England's playing pretty good defense right now. Two contrasting styles. Who can come out on top of that will be a lot of fun. Bishop England's a team that I feel like I hadn't got a good read on them all year. I feel like they're going to lose and they win. I feel like they're going to win, they lose. I don't know what to make of those guys right now for Coach Hall, but it should be a fun game down in the Low Country. Jerel, any comments on 4A or even back to 5A as well before we look down to the next rank?
We've got some Saturday 4A games too.
Hold on, John. Or hold on, Jerel. Sorry.
Well, holding.
Go back.
So our handful of Saturday games, we've got Gray will be hosting Aiken. Gilbert goes to the airport. North Augusta hosting Brooklyn Casey. Daniel will be at home against Blue Ridge. Berea will go to Travelers Rest.
Dog Bowl,
Get
Jerel.
excited about
Dog
that
Bowl,
one.
Jerel.
Hey, win number 2, baby. Let's go.
Yes, sir. Pickens will go to Seneca and South Aiken hosting Midland Valley.
Seneca, they're going to need a bounce back. I believe they're playing right now. They're, nice lead over Blue Ridge here, of course. But that was a surprising loss to Greer last week. A team that's previously undefeated couldn't quite handle that game last week. But I think they're also at 4A. So back to the comments now on 5A and 4A, Jerel. Stahl could beat Fort D. Chris, I'll be surprised by that.
That would be wild.
Fort D, a tough couple weeks for sure, but I don't think Stahl is quite to that level yet. He says Berkeley wins big. I like that. Gaffney for the win, says Heather.
Sure.
I agree there, Heather. Chris says Dorman comes to Gaffney, homecoming. Very interesting there to hear that.
Boy, how many times has Dorman played homecoming?
Easy boys keep down. We're not down here, Chris. We just want to see more. And I think, you're the same way. I know you were at the game or, at least followed the game along last week. Just a little bit worrisome about some of the offensive pieces right now. But obviously we know what you guys can do on defense, so you keep winning for sure. Heather says Myrtle Beach. Heather, also great to meet you on Friday down at the MVP game. Definitely great to say hello to you there. Appreciate that. Paralysis Spartanburg moved up 3 spots in max preps. Gaffney down 2 spots after last week. Okay.
It's a big move.
Steven says Armani Weaver out with concussion. Interesting. Yeah, definitely want to give him a week off to get back to normal for that Ren game here next week. Wise senior night for Bishop England.
Okay.
That's a big plus there, I think, for the Battling Bishops. That can be certainly switch things in your favor.
Also, we did have a YouTube viewer that wanted to get your thoughts on Blythewood Sumter.
Ooh, Sumter by 2 or 3 scores.
Blythewood's a team that I felt like was playing good football early in the year. I love the defensive line with Sterling Sanders. They were really shutting teams down early on, but the last 2 weeks they've kind of fallen apart. Lost a game to West Florence, but they lost again, I think, last week to cannot remember who now. Not playing as good as earlier in the year. Sumter playing great football. A team that
Ridgeview that beat them last week.
Maybe so. Sumter playing really good football right now. Love Peoples on the offensive side there. And also other weapons they have, Vance and whatnot. Fortune as well. Cameron Fortune there's a big-time player for them. Coach Barnes' bunch is playing good football, kind of flying under the radar a little bit now, I feel like. But they are really good, that Gamecocks team is.
Yeah, and they're finding their offense, it sounds like, as well. A really good team, really good offensive line. And of course, the defense, maybe not the typical Gamecock defense that we've seen the last few years, but they're still very good. Blythewood, not bad. Bengals are not bad. Sumter's just
Sumter's good.
Top 5,
Sumter's
top 10
good
team in the state.
Yep, Sumter's good. Looking down now at 3A, John.
Yeah, so in 3A, we've got all Friday games. 3A kept it clean this week. Swansea will go to Fox Creek. Hanahan is at home against North Charleston. Christchurch at home against Southside. Christian, that is. Walhalla hosting West Oak. Woodruff will go on the road to Chapman.
Yes, sorry. I was trying to think. Yeah, Woodruff, I think they're clearly the better team than Chapman. You just worry if a loss like that to MVP last week, does that have any hangover effect? I don't know. Woodruff was very impressive. Even in the loss like that, they were right there a play away from winning that game. What Coach Sloan has done is really, really nice. They got a really good football team. Chapman, not the typical Chapman team, but playing there, tough place to play. I still think Woodruff gets a win. Just got to be sneaky. Could be a potential trap game.
Yeah, I think Woodruff wins. Maybe it's a little bit closer than what people expect, but I think Woodruff will be ready to go. And they made that apparent on Friday. We talked about the layoff, if that would affect them. It didn't.
Yep.
They were ready to go off the bat. They played really good and played against an awesome Mountain View team, and were very competitive. I think they'll win this Friday as well. Friday. Belt Honeypath, they will be traveling to Pendleton. Pendleton not as good as maybe we thought they would be coming into the year. Still might be one of BHP's toughest region games, maybe their toughest region game. Still think BHP rolls in that one. Palmetto will be on the road against St. Joseph's.
Palmetto playing good football. They lost to Powdersville last week, but Powdersville's playing well as well. I think that's probably for that second place in that region. There's a chance of that. Christchurch as well have something to say for that, but Palmetto playing a lot better year 2 for Coach Norton.
Orangeburg-Wilkinson having a great season. They'll host Battery Creek Friday. Chesney on the road against Crescent. Georgetown will be at home against Ainer. Boy, those two teams, you got to really be excited to not have to play Dylan Lors from Marlboro.
No doubt about it.
Powersville will go to Carolina. Newberry at home against Keenan.
That's a game that I think could be good there. Keenan's been a little bit tough to figure out this year as well. Newberry, similar, honestly. Yeah, they feel like they've got the offense going. Hadn't played great defense yet for Coach Sheeter, it feels like. But I think they've got enough firepower to win that football game on Friday.
I think that'll be a really good football game. It seems like Newberry's got some really good offensively, and Keenan seems like they're pretty good on defense. That'll be a fun game to watch. I'm really interested to see what happens there. So I think there's two pretty good teams that not a whole lot of people probably in 3A are worried about, but come playoff time, I think they will be quickly.
Yep.
Broome, they'll be on the road against Mountain View. That game will be at Presbyterian College.
Yeah, Mountain View, we saw them in firsthand last week, a huge win over Woodruff there. We actually got the highlight here, the Katie Hainsworth one-handed catch to win the game, seal the game here. Just an awesome play for the Stars. Coach Gramsey's bunch is playing really good football. We said that we weren't sure on a couple parts of the team how good they were. I think the question's been answered, John. I think they looked really impressive last week. This is an interesting game here. Jalen McGill, the star running back, came over from Broome. Do we have any bad blood there? I don't know. Broome with Tyquan Booker at running back. He's a solid player for sure. Do they have enough firepower to be MVP? Probably not. I was just super impressed with what they did offensively. Finding ways to get McGill, to get Hainsworth involved. They did a fantastic job. I love that game plan they had on Friday night. I think they do something similar. Like they win this game probably pretty handily technically at home this week. But MVP playing great football. I think they win again on Friday.
I think so too. Broome, obviously without McGill, not the same football team, but their running back Tyquan Booker, he's a very, very good player in his own right. Very big kid. He's a tough runner. He's going to give you his all. But Mountain View, they're the better team in this game. They should win. But hey, cool environment for both of these squads getting to play at PC. Very nice facility. So that'll be really cool for all those kids too.
No doubt.
And then the big one. The big one in 3A, the big one in the state, one of our CONA games of the week. Loris heading over to Bennettsville to play Marlboro County. Boy, you don't want to play Marlboro County probably after a loss to Dillon, but here you are. Awesome teams. Go back earlier. We talk all about it. That's going to be an awesome, awesome ball game Friday.
For sure. Jerel, comments from you or from the chat on 3A before we move on to the next section of the games.
Let's keep it rolling, guys.
Perfect. Let's go shout out to our friends of the program. Then we'll look down to the 2A slate.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to CONA.
Looking for top-notch sports gear and uniforms? Look no further than First Team Sports. With 30 years of serving the Carolinas, First Team Sports is your local full-service dealer. From youth teams to colleges, we've got you covered with team uniforms, staff apparel, Letterman jackets, sports equipment, and facility branding. Visit our local store in Greenville or firstteamsc.com. Make First Team your first choice. Let's take a look now at the 2A slate, John, and go through those games here across the state.
Yeah, and 2A, another classification where we're playing all of our games on Friday this week. First game, this would be a pretty good game here. Well Branch hosting Hampton County. Hampton County trying to bounce back after that loss against Barnwell.
Yeah, it's one of these where you don't want to let one loss beat you twice if you're the Hurricanes. And I'm sure, that group there, the great coaching staff, they're going to have a good job getting those guys ready to roll again. And I think they will. I think Hampton County wins this game.
Yeah, that's a Well Branch team that will get your attention as well. 96 will be at home against American Leadership. Batesburg-Leesville playing at home against Pelion.
Batesburg-Leesville just, kind of laying in the weeds, waiting to play Saluda and Strom. They're in back-to-back weeks here to close the season after this week. So definitely, could be a look-ahead spot, but I don't think Pelion is going to have to take advantage of that yet. So I think the Panthers, they roll again and just, kind of try to keep everybody healthy for these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. Atlantic Collegiate will go to East Clarendon. Chester is at home against Mid Carolina. Chesney will be at Crescent. Timberland at home against Philip Simmons.
This was almost the game of the week here. Two teams that are playing really good football. I think they're both 6-2 right now. I believe, John, these are the two teams that are undefeated still in that region. A very tough 2A region, honestly, down there in the low country. Yeah, those two are two undefeated teams still there. Will be a lot of fun to see how that shakes out. Timberland, a big win over Andrews last week. Philip Simmons kind of been not talked about much this year. They lost all their playmakers from last year, it felt like, but Coach Bendig has done a great job letting the quarterback, Tavian Oriana, let it loose a little bit more. Philip Simmons playing good football. I picked against Timberland last week. It burned me. I'm going to pick against him this week. I'm going to Philip Simmons again. The Iron Horse, I think, win this game.
Okay. I'm going to go with Timberland. They're playing at home.
Yeah.
I'm going to trust them this week because I picked against them last week too. King Street, they'll be at home against Mullins.
Man, Mullins, hats off to Coach Morris. I thought they were dead in the water after a couple tough losses. Like, all right, here we go. They're going to finish, 6-4 or whatever. They come back. They beat a good East Clarendon team in overtime last week, playing really good football. They've got, obviously, excuse me, you just said it there. Who did they play this week? I just blanked on it again.
Oh, Mullins.
King Street.
Yeah.
Sorry, King Street. Yeah. I think they win again. I think they continue this ride. I think they get to 8 wins this week.
Yeah, I think they're a good team. They're a good team. We talked about them earlier, and you're like, oh, well, they keep winning. Oh, they won another game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good. That's why they keep winning.
Yeah.
They're a good group. One of our CONA games of the week, Saluda hosting Strom. Thurmon, we talked all about it earlier in the program. Go back and see that. Woodland, they'll be on the road against Academic Magnet. Andrew Jackson hosting North Central. A little bit of a rivalry game there.
And I feel like that region's been kind of all up in the air this year, too. Teams I thought were pretty good have now gotten some losses on there. I feel like Jerel, I think, is still the class of that region. But after that, Central, Chesterfield, North Central, and AJ, I think, are all very similar teams. Anybody could be anybody here, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. It's exciting region. They're from 2 on back. And really, I mean, Buford will go to Jerel this week. I don't know that Jerel has that region in hand just yet.
No, not yet. I believe they
upset, though.
Yeah, they're 3-0. Central's 2-1. They just beat Central last week, so certainly in the driver's seat right now.
We talked about Andrews losing to Timberland last week. They'll be on the road against Burke, like them in that game there. Barnwell will be at home against Edisto.
Man, the Warhorses continue to roll. That was a really impressive win last week. Doing a little bit differently with a couple like defensive pick sixes there, which is awesome to see. They've won throwing the ball, they've won running the ball, and they've won with defense as well. Playing really good football for Coach Smith. I love what that team's doing with Cam Austin and Jaquan Peoples, Logan Sturkey, and those guys. They're poised, I think, in lower state 2A. They've got to be one of the probably 1 or 2 favorites right now.
Especially for me after beating Hampton County last week. Clinton, they'll be at home against Blacksburg.
Clinton, I mean, they continue to roll. Blacksburg can score some points. They've been struggling a little bit lately here. Zach says win puts them in the driver's seat. Certainly will. Play Liberty on the 8th for the Helene makeup game there. Yeah, I think Clinton's a better team, Zach. I think that what Coach Fountain has done there with this program, this year especially, they're a really good football team. They can definitely make a deep run. Brandon says he'll be at the game Friday. Clinton should have it wrapped up after this one. Yeah, not the toughest region for sure. Kind of get moved over to that one, Brandon. But I think Clinton definitely the class of that region.
Yeah, back to that exciting region, Central Pageland. They'll be on the road against Chesterfield. Good game there against 2 good teams.
Yep.
We'll see Landrum at Liberty. Eau Claire hosting Columbia. A little bit of a Columbia rivalry there. And Manning will be on the road against a struggling Marion squad.
Any comments on 2A, Jerel, from you or the chat? Christmas says, give my boy a shout-out, John Sawyer. Yeah, John Sawyer, Bedford Leesville made the North-South team. North-South rosters are out now. You can find them on our social pages, also on our website, movingchains.com. It's on our blog there. We've got the whole list of everybody who made both rosters there for the North-South. Sorry, the Touchstone Energy Bowl game now, formerly known as North-South, John.
That's right. That's right.
Question from Kelly says, what team and what player has shown the most growth so far this season? Man, that's a tough one because, you can look at it where a team maybe we didn't expect to be good or a team that started off slow and kind of turned around. If you're just thinking, maybe just in the 2A ranks, I love what I've seen from Batesburg-Leesville. This is a team that I think has really grown. We thought they'd be good. Didn't know they'd be 7-0 at this point good. They were playing great football, man. That's a team that has certainly grown and is a program that has grown under Coach Lawson the last couple of years.
Team-wise, I got to go with Loris.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens this week. I hope we're not setting them up here. But, Loris, we talked about how –
it's like you're setting them up here, John.
Hey, they're really close. They're really close. Well, this year they've arrived. They've played very, very well. Loris in my book has been good. Hey, give honorable mention to Orangeburg Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Not a team that's typically playing good football. Here they are. They keep winning. I think they're in the media poll top 10. The Bears are gaining some respect. from a player's perspective,
I had to think of that. I'd come back next week for that one for me. I don't know if I've got anybody off the top of my head.
Put you guys on the spot. I was thinking about it since I got to read the comments. It was great. I'm going to go Fairfield Central. We have not talked about them.
Good.
This
Good.
year.
Great
Good pick.
And to make it even easier, Tadarian Greer, his receiver, moves over to running back, has had a fantastic season.
Strom bowler.
The Griffins are getting it done, man. It's a lot of fun to see them as they progress this season.
Really good pick there, Jerel. Really good pick. Any other comments on 2A from the chat?
Let's go ahead and keep it rolling, guys.
Looking down at the 1A slate now, John.
So we've got a one Thursday night feature here. Bamberg Earhart will go to Allendale Fairfax.
I don't know if you guys saw this. It's really sad what's going on there at Allendale Fairfax, man. They're having issues at games every week, it feels like. They actually had to announce they're moving this game to Thursday, and each player gets to bring 2 either parents or guardians. That's it. So it's going to be a very slight crowd there.
Wow.
You hate to see that happening, man. You want to have these kids be able to enjoy high school football and have big crowds on Thursday and Friday nights. It's not happening right now at Allendale Fairfax, which is really sad. And I think Bamberg Earhart clearly the better football team. But I wish we could get some of the off-field stuff figured out.
Yeah, we got to work together to be better about that. Abbeville will go to Dixie on Friday night. Good Dixie team. Really good.
I mean, what do you say? I feel like we haven't talked about Abbeville in like 7 weeks. Like once non-region ended, you're like, they're just going to roll through the region. I mean, what do you expect?
And this will be one of the best teams they play at 1A level. Wagner Sally will go to Wilson Elko. Latta on the road against Hannah Pamplico. Who do you think is going to win between Wagner Sally and Williston?
I was surprised Williston, got beat so badly last week by HKT. I think it was 42-0. That really kind of, caught me off guard there. Wagner Sally's been up and down this year, I feel like. I think Williston Elko, a little bit better football team. I think they win this one at home, especially.
I think so, too. I think Williston Elko, probably a relatively close game here, but I think Williston Elko is a slightly better group. We'll see Carver's Bay go to Johnsonville. Hemingway at home against Green Sea Floyds. Somebody is going to get their first win of the season.
So I know we've teased it on the spaces the last couple weeks, but Point Watch is certainly on for Hemingway.
Green Sea picks up their first win of the year.
Double-digit Point Watch is on. Hemingway, 6 points on the season here, John. So far, we're sitting here in week 9. Not very good for the Tigers program.
Right.
They might get on the board this week. I will say they may score, but I do not think they're going to win.
Okay. All right. Well, let's see. That's why they play the game, right? A lot on the line. Great Falls. They'll go to Louisville.
Louisville, great win last week at McBee. Obviously, we all thought they were going to win, but the way they handled the Panthers, a blowout win, 50-plus points, that's what I wanted to see out of that team. Let's see that offense get going.
Ware Shoals is at home against Calhoun Falls Charter. C.A. Johnson at home against Lamar.
Hey, Lamar's on the way. Lamar's playing good football right now.
Very good football.
Just be ready. They'll be here. They'll be here.
Lower State 1A. Well, is Lamar in Lower State?
Lamar's going upper state too. Lamar's going upper state as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right. Hardyville will be at Branchville. Cross at home against Bethune-Bowman. Whitmire at home against McCormick. Rich Spring Monetta will go to Calhoun County. Scotch Branch at home against Baptist Hill. Military Magnet hosting St. John's. McBee will be at Lee Central. And one of our CONA games of the week we talked about, Hunter-Kinard-Tyler hosting Blackville-Hilda in a monumental 1A game there.
Any 1A comments, Jerel, from you or the chat? Mike says Abbeville's O-line is banging, nothing getting through. Yeah, the Panthers are playing really good football right now. Love the obviously the offensive line you mentioned there, but the playmakers are great too with Leach and Patterson and Haddon and all those guys. Coach Nichols has them rolling right now. The Panthers are certainly probably the favorite in 1A, you've got to say right now. But any other 1A comments from you, Jerel, or the chat?
Look out for Cross too. They're playing some good football as well.
Big Cross.
They've started slow before and they've come back in and finished strong. So yeah, Carmela Jones I think is leading the state in touchdowns right now too.
Yeah, when you get 6 and 7 in back-to-back weeks, you probably are.
For sure. Let's go to SCISA, guys.
The SCISA ranks got Heathwood Hall traveling to Camden Military, Christian Academy at Hilton Head Prep, John Paul at Hilton Head Christian, Thomas Sumter at Wilson Hall, King's Academy at JDA, Conway Christian at Cathedral, Holly Hill at Cross, King at Newberry, First Baptist at Pinewood, Clarendon Hall at Greenwood Christian, Richard Wynn at Lawrence. A good 8-man game here. Richard Wynn led by Charlie Bonds, 268 yards per game, passing and running. Lawrence led by quarterback Ethan Collins and Garrett Murphy at running back. Should be a fun game over there at Lawrence. Colin Prep at Dorchester, a good game here between these two. Colin Prep, big win over Lee last week with quarterback Cale Owens. Dorchester, John Wetzel, the running back, went for 200-plus again last week. They were playing good football for Coach Nelson. Hammond at Ben Lippen, Augusta Christian at Northwood. Northwood, 2 tough losses. We thought they were on the way up, and they are, but then you play Porter Gap and you play Hammond back-to-back weeks, and you lose them both. That's, what do you say? Well, those are 2 really good football teams.
You do, yeah.
Oak Brook at Wardlaw, Spartanburg Christian at Calhoun, Williamsburg at Faith Christian, Carolina at Thomas Hayward, Trinity Collegiate at Lawrence Manning, Patrick Henry at Orangeburg Prep, Northside Christian at Florence Christian, Porter Gout at Cardinal Newman, Beaufort at Andrew Jackson, and our SCISA CONA game of the week, Bethesda at Pee Dee Academy. Jerel, let's get a shout out to some friends of the program. Then we move into our Pick'em and our Polls section.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Set your kids up with a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Just like learning the rules of football, understanding money management is crucial. Our Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Give your young MVPs the skills they need to move the chains on their financial futures. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Let's take a look at the live scoreboard right quick, John. Scores from across the state for games going on right now or games that just completed.
Yeah, we got in the third quarter, Gray up on Brooklyn Casey 35-7 now.
42-7. I got an extra touchdown over here.
It's always one more. Greer is up on Pickens 42-14, fourth quarter. Seneca over Blue Ridge 47-21 in the fourth quarter there. In the third quarter, TL Hanna up on Easley 36-6. A lot of blowouts here.
Mm-hmm.
Midland Valley on all over Airport 35-7. That's in the third quarter.
Don't look now. Midland Valley may have figured something else too. I think they made a quarterback switch, playing a little bit better the last couple of weeks. Coach Dorn may have finally got the guys heading the right direction here.
And even without Dunbar, that's a good group.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a close game over at Slayton Field. JL Man leads Greenwood 10-7 at the half. Greenwood playing a really good defense against a high-power JL Man offense.
And that's a game there. If whoever wins, it's going to be a mess in that region. We've got Greenwood, who already has a win over TL Hanna. TL Hanna has a win over Man. Man could at this point have a win over Hillcrest and Greenwood if they hold on tonight.
Yeah.
Could be a lot of fun the next couple of weeks. At least see those big games come down the stretch in that region.
Yeah. Who knows how RPI will look at all of that. And last score I've got is Gilbert on over South Aiken 28-21 in the third quarter.
I've got Hillcrest at half up 28-0 on Greenville. North Augusta defeated Aiken 55-7. You mentioned that Daniel scored 56-0 over Berea earlier. And I believe I've got Woodmont 34-21 currently, early fourth over Malden as well. Okay. I think that's all the scores that I've got. Let's look now at our Pick'em contest by Hanna Engineering. As always, guys, we do 11 games each week. It's posted on our social media and also on our website. Love to have you join, pick your games. It's a lot of fun. Gives you a reason to watch teams outside of your own team each week. We had some folks ask us last couple weeks, like, hey, why do you only pick, X number of games from this area or X number from this area? I was like, well, we try to cover the whole state and give you a reason to check it out. Like, I don't know what you want from us.
It's a good game. It's a good game.
Yeah.
Not gonna pick a game.
Sorry about it.
Because it's, a dud.
Right. Well, last week in week 8, we had a lot of 10s, 5 of them from Dion, Daryl, Brad, Lee, and Cameron. Bunch of 9s as well. Jerel led the way between us at 8. John and I had 7. I'm glad I got 7. I thought when we were looking at the score for tonight, I was like, man, this is going to be tough to have a good score here. A very tough sheet. So if you got 10, hats off to you. You were all over it back in week 8. And now our overall leaders, Charlie L. continues to lead the way at 59. Ryan at 57. Ben at 57 as well. Dion, Big Pop, Jay, Jamie, Jeff, and Jeffrey all at 56. John, you lead us at 52. I'm 46. Jerel is at 45. Actually, I think I may have forgotten to update ours, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we're
apologies. I think John, I don't know if you got it or not, but we actually are all higher than that. Scratch that at the bottom, but hats off to Charlie for leading the way right now.
Yep, I'm at 59. You guys are at 53.
There we go. I forgot the new ones in there. Apologies for that. But as always, guys, join that. It's a lot of fun to do. We do a prize at the end of the season. Also do a playoff pick 'em once playoffs roll around in a few weeks. But that's brought to you by Hanna Engineering, our friends over there. Definitely check them out. If you need anything from them, check them out on our social page as well. Our link is there for them. Our polls, guys, let's start with 5A and 4A. As always, guys, we say that we didn't like everybody else's polls that were coming out and wanted to make our own. So, Jerel, let's look at the big boys first, work our way down. In Division 1, little bit of a change here. We got Dutch Fork 1, Somerville 2, Sumter 3, Spartanburg 4, River Bluff 5. Division 2, Northwestern, Irmo, Gaffney, Greenwood, T5, Hillcrest, and Hannah. Dropping out is JL Man there. A lot of movement on both sides. In 5A Division 1, we see Spartanburg moves up, River Bluff moves up. Division 2, we got JL Man dropping way down from JL Man's in Division 1. I was like, wait a minute, I'm not reading this wrong. Okay, yeah. JL Man dropping completely out of Division 1 there. And Division 2 is a bit of a mover as well. You see Greenwood and Hillcrest and TL Hannah all shaking it out there. What's weird to me in these 5A classes, guys, is with them being smaller now, I feel like it's really hard to pick those 4 and 5 spots. You look at Division 1, you get River Bluff in there. They got hammered by Irmo just 2 weeks ago, a smaller school. But who else do you put there? I don't know.
Yeah, and that's their one loss, and they've got some decent wins on their resume as well. And you look at the other teams, in that division, it's just there's not a lot to pick from when you talk about top 5.
Yeah, same thing in Division 2. We've got a tie for 5th there. We just don't know where to go. We thought about, do you get Hillcrest, Greenwood, TL Hannah? Do you look at maybe a Goose Creek or like a Catawba Ridge? Or I don't know where you go with it. Yeah. So certainly tough there. Looking down at 4A and 3A now, Jerel. Oh, no, Jerel, give us your comments.
One thing I want to say, wrong button there. I think when we look at 5A, the number 1 teams there's a gap between the rest of those guys. I think Northwestern has started to separate themselves, and obviously Dutch Fork has as well.
Yeah, I think you're right. Those are 2 very, very good teams. Both teams have played tough competition and have really dominated so far this year as well. In 4A, Westside continues to hold that top spot. South Point, Daniel, South Lawrence, North Augusta wrap up the top 5. Receiving votes is Wren as well. 3A, BHP, Mountain View makes a big jump there. Loris 3, Dillon 4, Woodruff 5, Oceanside receiving votes. 4A, pretty similar to last week. You saw a little movement there at that 5 spot. It feels like with the Wren getting a vote and North Augusta, I don't know if they were receiving votes or 5 last week.
We dropped May River out, but North Augusta
River out to that tough loss last week. Yeah. 3A, though, that's where I could have gone 7-8 deep, I feel like, on that one.
Yeah,
I was filling mine out. I was like, I like this team, I like this team, I like this team. Marlboro County, they were up high. They dropped off the map this week. Dillon jumps back in this week. Woodruff, it's like, what do you do with them? They obviously played a really tough Mountain View team and lost with less than a possession. How far do you drop them? Oceanside, I think, is still kind of laying in the weeds. A team that played a really tough non-region schedule has played really good football lately once they got back to their level of schools to play. Sure. So 3A is going to be a lot of fun and may have the most teams I think could win the whole thing at this point.
I think so too. And just and it's not like, hey, who can we just draw a name out of the hat? They're really good teams with some really good talent. Really excited about seeing them. We talked about there's a question about players and teams that explode onto the scene this year. Aiden Gibson comes to mind.
Yeah.
Just a 10th grader. And we got to see him, in person Friday. Incredibly talented, incredibly good skill set. And, he's in 10th grade, which is incredible.
Yes. And
Woodruff, great team, all around great team.
He's going to be fun to watch next 2 years for sure. Jerel, comments from you on 3 and 4A. We'll shoot down to 2A and 1A.
Only thing I got is 4A. We talked about teams kind of laying in the weeds on the outside. I think Gray Collegiate's a team in 4A.
Yes, I thought hard about them in that 5 spot. I thought very hard about it. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think my 5 spot, I had like North Augusta, do I go Wren or do I go Gray Collegiate? I could not quite make my mind. I was like, North Augusta, maybe a little better wins right now. But I think all those 3 teams could certainly serve that 5 spot. In 2A, Batesburg-Leesville, Barnwell moves up, I believe, their spot. Clinton at 3, Fairfield Central 4, Saluda at 5. Strom Thurmon also gets a vote there, so we'll see a 5 and a receiving votes matchup here this week. 1A, Abbeville, Blackville-Hilda, Beverly-Gerhart, Louisville, and Lakeview. I'll tell you guys, in 1A, I moved Louisville up in my poll. I was very impressed with that win Friday or McBee, and I looked. I was kind of doing some comparison, and who's beat who, and who's played who, and I was like, man, Louisville may have played a tougher schedule and has some better wins than both Bamberg and Blackville-Hilda. That's a team I think I may continue to move up, but we'll see how the next few weeks shake out.
Yeah, they're playing good football right now, too.
Certainly.
Had a good time.
Any comments from you, Jerel, on the 2A or 1A polls?
Nothing for me. Those are pretty standard. We've kept those there. I think it's funny that we've all picked Thurmon to win that game, and we got Saluda in our poll, so it's going to be pretty funny.
I put Saluda. I put Strom Thurmon in my poll. Yeah, don't y'all ruin that for me.
There we go. We're outing each other right now. Let's see. I got some more scores, some updates here.
Perfect. Greer 42-14 over Pickens. Thank you, Nathan. Appreciate you Nathan, also, I'm going to send you a message this week about setting up Jerel buying you lunch. Definitely check your messages for that, and we'll get that squared away for you.
I will be in town. I mean, Chris, if Gaffney keeps playing the way they are, we might have to.
Yeah, if Riverside makes a play or two last week, they might have been dropped out completely.
They could have lost 2 in a row.
We'll see how that goes. Marlboro dropped again. Yeah, just a very odd game. Obviously, Dillon is good, but 3A is so deep, and the way that game went as well, or it wasn't like a last-second thing. It was a blowout. We did drop them some. But if they win this week, they'll be right back up high. You never know.
You got to reward Mountain View for playing as good as they did against a really good team.
Yep.
And for me personally, I could put them at 5 and drop Woodruff out.
Mm-hmm.
Woodruff played a very competitive game. They lost by 2.
Yeah.
Marlboro County got beat by multiple scores.
23, yeah.
At home. So that was my reasoning.
And Chris and Heather, my pick 'em sucks too, so don't feel bad.
Same. Shout out to our teams of the week. Brought to you by Preferred Home Services. We had TL Hanna, the big win over JL Man. We mentioned Dillon, the big win over Marlboro County. And then Mountain View Prep, the nice win over Woodruff on Friday as well. Our players of the week, Kim McMillan at South Point, KD Hainsworth the MVP, and Angelo Rios at Westwood. Those are insured by the George Agency. Appreciate those guys, as always, for helping out with the program. Jerel, any more comments we have missed right quick in the chat before we kind of go into the wrap-up section here? Deidre says, checking in, had a game night, little small fry. I love it. Deidre, appreciate you, man.
Nice.
Looking forward to that big game next week. Lamar Louisville going to be a lot of fun. JD says, Abbeville, big powerhouse, Dixie. Yeah, JD, that was close to being the game of the week. We thought about it, man. That's
Dixie's
a monster
good.
match.
Dixie's good.
Stop. I mean, they're fine. They're fine. Appreciate you, Bradley, for joining in, as always. If you guys are tuning in for the first time, as always, follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. MovinChains.com, podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Our website, MovinChains.com. I mentioned that a second ago. Sorry, I doubled up. Apologies there for that one there, guys. Live shows Tuesday night, preview show 7:15, Facebook and YouTube, recap shows Sundays on our podcast platforms, interviews, all kinds of great stuff throughout the week as well. Moving the Chains merch. Got some great Richardson hats there. Love these, the gray and the black. Got some other colors as well. All of these guys have pictures on our social media page. You can check them out. The great toboggan is getting cold. It's getting cold. Get you a toboggan. Get you a T-shirt as well, a black one, a navy blue, a gray, even a pink for the ladies. Small logo on the front, large logo on the back. You can email us, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on social media. We got the hoodies as well, a gray and a lighter gray or a white, whatever you want to call it. Actually hooked up our buddy Corey, got one at the game on Friday. And we always have some stuff with us too. So if you guys are at a game, you see us there, let us know if you want to purchase one. We'll have some with us. Hopefully you have your size. Cannot promise that. We will try our best. Jerel, John, any final thoughts here on week 9? What should be a really good week here as we get close to wrapping up the regular season?
Yeah. And a lot of football this week, right?
Yes.
Games tonight, obviously Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Ton of football, ton of opportunities to get out and see some kids play.
Going to be a lot of fun. Jerel, comments from you here as we wrap.
Yeah, go out, check these games out, man. Go support your communities and support these guys who are getting it done. It's been a lot of adversity and things like that with weather and schedules that are wonky. So go support these guys as they wrap up their seasons, especially those seniors. It's a special time, and man, it's I can't believe it's already week 9. You might have somebody like from TR like me who didn't make it to the playoffs. So go see those last few regular season games.
You might make the playoffs. You don't know. You got big dog bowl this week, Jerel.
I was talking about myself. We didn't make the playoffs my senior year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, anything else in the chat before we wrap it here?
I think we're going to wrap this one up.
Perfect. Well, Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel, Hendricks, and John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 9 South Carolina High School Football preview show. We will catch you guys soon.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.